All right, let's jump right into today's explainer and unpack a truly fascinating story about incentives, honesty, and family health. It is so incredibly easy to accidentally reward the exact opposite of what we actually want to encourage. Today's material perfectly captures how this happens in real time. We're going to break down a simple classroom interaction that absolutely spirals into a profound lesson on why the systems we design to encourage healthy habits can, well, completely backfire. Imagine the sheer frustration of a 6-year-old realizing this for the first time. The one who lies should not be rewarded. This quote from a young boy named Rohan sets up the absolute core dilemma of our story today. What actually happens when someone gets a prize for being dishonest? It completely shatters their understanding of fairness. So to understand why Rohan is so worked up, we need to look at what triggered this whole realization.
Section 1. The Classroom Food Test. Let's see how this baseline event set everything into motion.
So, our story begins with a doctor visiting Rohan's class. The doctor's goal was super simple and obviously well-intentioned. Evaluate the kids' favorite foods and teach them some foundational healthy eating habits. The doctor starts off by asking the students to list out what they love to eat. Well, this simple prompt immediately split the classroom right down the middle. You have the kids who take the question literally and answer honestly, and then you have the kids who quickly figure out what the doctor actually wants to hear.
This just brilliantly illustrates the contrast. On one side, we have Rohan's completely honest choice. He proudly lists fish and chips, while other kids are listing things like burgers and pizza. Honest, typical kid answers. But on the other side, we have his classmate Ruhi. Her list includes smoked fish, salads, and fruits. But here is the absolute kicker. Rohan notes that Ruhi is literally always eating chips. She deliberately crafted this fake, pristine list just for the doctor's benefit.
Section 2. The bitter reward. Now let's watch how this setup builds into a massive, unintended consequence.
Okay, so at the end of the class, the doctor returns to the list the children provided. He goes through the foods and publicly rates them as healthy or unhealthy. He handed out a big red cross to all these honest, unhealthy favorites. Burgers, kheer, pizza, biryani, and Rohan's beloved fish and chips all got the dreaded red mark. The honest kids were being publicly penalized just for telling the truth about their diets.
But the doctor didn't stop there. He took out a physical gift and presented it to Ruhi because her diet was rated as the most healthy. The crucial takeaway here is that Ruhi was given a tangible reward simply because she lied about what she actually ate. The doctor, totally without realizing it, hadn't rewarded healthy eating at all. He had directly rewarded deception. He basically created an incentive structure that punished honesty. You can just feel the 6-year-old's intense agitation here. Rohan completely protests the deep unfairness of this flawed incentive. He tells his mother, "I could have also said healthy food is tofu. I did not lie." He completely understood the game. He knew exactly what the right answer was, but he chose to be honest anyway. Watching someone else cheat the system and walk away with a prize left him incredibly frustrated. It's really a perfect microcosm of how poorly structured metrics can corrupt behavior.
Section 3. Learning over lying. So, how do you process this kind of blatant unfairness? Let's look at how Rohan's mom handles this crisis.
Rather than getting mad at the doctor or angry at Ruhi, Mama completely shifts the perspective. She tells Rohan, "The one who lies does not learn any lesson. You learned, and that is important." She draws this brilliant hard line between external validation, that little physical gift, and actual internal growth. By lying, Ruhi completely bypassed the actual purpose of the doctor's visit, which was to understand your habits and figure out how to improve them. Rohan, by being honest, actually walked away with the true value of the class. And this is the emotional turning point of the whole story. Mama focuses Rohan entirely on personal growth and agency. She acknowledges the unfairness. She totally agrees that liars shouldn't be rewarded, but she reminds him, "You cannot change what others do, but you can decide what you should do. Over time, you become what you want to." That is incredibly powerful advice. It redirects his frustration away from a flawed system and right back toward his own daily choices. Section 4. Bringing health habits home. Because the true test of learning is application, right? How do we take this classroom injustice and apply these lessons in the real world?
Rohan decides to take a really proactive approach here. He was given homework to prepare a weekly menu just for himself, but he decides, you know what? Let's expand the scope. He develops a 3-step action plan. Step 1, prepare a healthy weekly menu for the whole family, which Mama immediately agrees to follow. Step 2, convince Papa to join in. And Step 3, use the clinical tools he just learned, specifically calculating BMI.
But there's a pretty massive roadblock in this plan. The real challenge is going to be Step 2. The source material notes that his father has become bulky. He just keeps eating, and most importantly, he gets pretty angry whenever the issue of his diet is brought up. He defends his habits by simply stating that he loves his food. This represents the ultimate real-world challenge, doesn't it? A 6-year-old trying to leverage his new clinical authority to change the established, defensive habits of a stubborn adult.
When Rohan brings up his father's defensive excuse, Mama delivers this absolute mic drop of an observation. Yes, but his body should love it too. If it did, he would have been healthy and fit. I mean, wow. That brilliantly illustrates the difference between enjoying food on a purely sensory level and actually being nourished by it on a physical level. It cuts right through that emotional defense of, I love my food, and anchors the whole conversation back in undeniable physical reality.
To actually put this reality check into action, Rohan plans to use BMI, or body mass index. This is the exact concept he just learned in that very same classroom with the doctor. He notes that his own BMI is fine, but he's going to calculate it for both his papa and his mama. This just goes to show that despite the totally flawed reward system in the classroom, the actual educational material was successfully absorbed. He's literally deploying it as a tool for a family intervention.
We're going to end on this truly provocative question, derived directly from Mama's wisdom. We might love our food, but does our body love it back? This story shows us that whether we're dealing with flawed incentive structures in a classroom or our own personal justifications for unhealthy habits, absolute honesty is the only real baseline for improvement. Take a second today to think about how your own family incentives and health metrics align. Ask yourself, are you rewarding the truth, or are you just rewarding the right-sounding answers? Thanks so much for joining me today, and I really hope this leaves you with something fascinating to think about.